This boy has an extraordinary ability to heal himself. One day, he climbed a tree branch to get a bird's nest and fell to the ground when a crow was flying towards him. But his body automatically recovered so quickly that his friends called him a monster. So the boy was very heartbroken. Time passed and this boy became an adult. One day while walking, Ha Dong-soo was blocked by a bully. Dong-soo was then strangled and taken to a room. A man began to steal all of Dong-soo's organs to provide to the group of bad guys. But when this man went to answer the phone, Dong-soo's body began to heal itself. Dong-soo got out of bed and proceeded to restore one of his eyes to its original position. The man started screaming, causing Dong-soo to panic and drop his second eye to the ground. Then, Dong-soo jumped out to escape. Since then, Dong-soo has only one eye. One day, while Dong-soo was sitting alone playing his guitar, he felt a sharp pain in his missing eye. He covered his normal eye with his hand and saw an astrological circle appear on a computer, along with many objects and a strange house. Then he saw a teardrop. Dong-soo now wonders if one of his eyes was transplanted to someone else. He should have found both his eyes back then. That morning, on a street, people were gathering to admire a beautiful art statue placed in the middle of the street. But after a while, a lot of blood flowed out of this statue. The police arrived to examine the statue, and Dong-soo is among the crowd. The forensic team peels off the plastic covering the body and sees a letter B, like a signature, carved into the art corpse. Dong-soo is now working at an old junkyard when he sees his boss being bullied by 3 thugs. The reason is that the boss accidentally hit them with his cart. They demand compensation. Dong-soo appears to rescue his boss. The 3 thugs attack and beat Dong-soo repeatedly. One of them uses a knife to swipe at Dong-soo, but he does not dodge. One of Dong-soo's ears falls off and his eye patch comes off. The 3 thugs call Dong-soo a monster and run away. Dong-soo bursts into tears because the trauma from his childhood comes back to him. Then Dong-soo's ear returned to its original position. The 3 thugs ran away and discussed the strange one-eyed man. A tall man walked by and started to use force to question them. The boss who had captured Dong-soo started to order his men to find his previous escape prey. The long-haired man expressed his regret to the gang leader because the old doctor let the strange one-eyed man escape. If they could possess someone with an immortal body, they would be very rich. The leader also called Dong-soo the legendary connect. At this time, a girl also heard the content of this conversation through a listening device. Dong-soo was walking on the street when he heard a street performer performing a song he had composed. Dong-soo asked, and the street singer told him to remix a song on the internet because the quality of the original song was not very good. Now the person who is using one of Dong-soo's eyes is also playing the song. At this time, Dong-soo's right eye is also in pain and he sees an eye in the mirror. Then the other person also turns off the music. Dong-soo goes back to the place where he was operated on to find his eye, and he sees the bully who cornered him there. Then Dong-soo is chased by them. A mysterious girl is also chasing after them. Dong-soo is stopped by the bullies in a small alley and is punched repeatedly by them. Dong-soo tries to resist and escapes. When Dong-soo just runs across a working train track, he is dragged somewhere. The mysterious girl leads Dong-soo and shows him the way to escape. Dong-soo runs up to a dead end and sees the girl appear behind him. The girl stabbed Dong-soo in the leg with a knife and then witnessed his recovery. When she noticed the thugs running towards her, she mercilessly threw Dong-soo to the ground. But Dong-soo still ran away right after that. The next morning, Jang Hee-soon, the employee, was on the bus to work and turned on a song that her favorite artist had recommended. When she arrived at her company, a statue of the recently shocking murderer appeared again, and the police also found a letter B carved on it. Later, when Hee-soon was walking with the head of the department, Oh Jin-so, she hummed the lyrics to the new song that morning, causing a sharp pain in one of his eyes. Now Dong-soo also saw the image of this girl with a giant statue next to her. Dong-soo remembered that he had passed by this statue when he was on the recycling truck. A young policeman shows 2 senior policemen social media comments in various languages. They express their recognition of the killer's talent and look forward to his next works. There are also comments in Vietnamese. While Dong-soo is cooking noodles, his right eye starts to hurt. He sees hand-drawn drawings on paper and even signatures carved into the art corpses that have been found. Dong-soo goes online to look at the statues in the case and realizes that person who took his eye is a murderer. At this time, Inspector Choi and his colleagues see the appearance of a one-eyed person at the places where the statues were found, so they immediately put him on the list of suspects. The next day, Dong-soo also goes to the place where the giant statue is to investigate the situation. As Dong-soo took off his blindfold, the girl he had seen through his missing eye was passing by. His co-worker pulled Hee-soon away in fear of Dong-soo's appearance. When they saw the strange man following them, they both ran even faster. Dong-soo tried to ask about the man who had been standing with Hee-soon there, but they both left to avoid the strange man. The 2 girls went to a restaurant and told their co-worker about the one-eyed man who had tried to approach Hee-soon. Then they saw Jin Seop sitting alone, so the three of them went to have lunch together. Now Dong-soo's music was playing again at the restaurant. Both boys had eye pain. Dong-soo could see a restaurant selling beef stew. The same girl was sitting across from him. Dong-soo ran to find the restaurant selling beef stew and continued to see the name of the restaurant. Jin Seop got annoyed when he heard Myung-hoon constantly pairing him and Hee-soon, so he found an excuse to leave first. Dong-soo entered the restaurant and bumped into him. Ji-jong noticed that the blindfolded man was still following Hee-soon to this place, so she was very scared. Dong-soo walked over and looked at Myung-hoon. Then he grabbed his collar. Dong-soo gently told him that I came here to find the man sitting across from the girl. But Myung-hoon immediately chased Dong-soo away and threatened to call the police immediately. At this time, singer Zed was also covering Dong-soo's song. Because according to the reply below the comment section, the guy who posted this song announced that his composition was not copyrighted and would be used freely. Dong-soo goes home and looks up the results of the murder case online. He sees an astrological circle and remembers seeing it appear in front of the murderer. Dong-soo goes to an astrologer to find out about the astrological circle. Dong-soo asks about the B symbol that appears in the circle. The woman says it is a symbol of Pluto. Dong-soo asks about the 2 days that the 2 murders happened. She says that they were both days when Pluto and Venus were in conjunction. This can be seen as a combination of death and art. The next conjunctions are October 20 and 25. It ends on January 6. Jin Seop is sitting there creating more works to do in the future when the doorbell rings. When he comes out, he sees Hee-soon standing in front of the door. Despite his cold attitude, she asks to come in. When Hee-soon compliments how clean the house is, Jin Seop asks her if she would like to be cleaned like that. Then she went to the toilet and unbuttoned her shirt to prepare for a passionate night with him. The couple also had some very passionate moments together. After finishing, Hee-soon started to observe this clean room and entered Jin Seop's office. She saw strange drawings and blood on them. When Hee-soon saw it, she started to panic. The astrology woman, who read Dong-soo's fortune, went to the police station and told the police about explaining the planetary conjunction to the handsome young man with one eye covered. The police also showed her a picture for identification. Later, the police also saw the suspicious eye-patched man through the camera in front of her shop. The next day, an old man chased his dog to a grass field and discovered an art statue in midair with a wheelchair underneath. When Hee-soon saw the news about the 4th art corpse being found, she remembered that she saw this painting at Jin Seop's house last night. Now Dong-soo was also at the scene where this statue appeared. The gang leaders of the organ trafficking gang also appeared here and saw Dong-soo, so Dong-soo quickly ran away. The police also recognized the appearance of the suspect with one eye covered, and they also chased after him. Dong-soo ran into a tunnel. The gang also chased closely behind. Dong-soo jumped down a flight of stairs to escape from the leader, but was caught by another leader. Dong-soo fought and knocked him down, but the leader used an axe to cut off Dong-soo's arm, and the leader also saw Dong-soo's miraculous self-healing process. He then called Dong-soo a connect. Suddenly this guy was knocked down by the hidden girl with an electric shock device. She asks Dong-soo to kill the two to keep the secret, but Dong-soo is confused. The police have now caught a gang leader, but Inspector Choi can't catch up with the one-eyed suspect. The mysterious girl leads Dong-soo away and informs him that he is a pile of money to them. The girl takes Dong-soo's phone to exchange phone numbers and introduces herself as Choi E-rang, but Dong-soo just ignores her and leaves alone. Hee-soon goes to the company and asks Myung-hoon to help her with something. Hee-soon then goes to Jin Seop and asks to speak to him privately. She leads him to the roof of the building and tells him that she saw his sketchbook last night and saw some pictures that looked exactly like the artworks. Jin Seop explains that he saw it online and drew it, but he soon said the case was discovered this morning and she saw it on the last page of his notebook. Jin Seop didn't hide it anymore and asked that she saw everything. Myung-hoon was also nearby to protect Hee-soon, but his phone rang again. Hee-soon also announced that this man was the murderer. Jin Seop covered Hee-soon with his coat and knocked her unconscious. Then Jin Seop attacked Myung-hoon and forced him to the edge of the rooftop. Now Hee-soon's phone rang and played Dong-soo's song, so Dong-soo could see the murderer fighting with a guy on the rooftop of this building. Hee-soon woke up and saw Myung-hoon falling to the ground. Jin Seop also stopped Hee-soon from taking the phone. Dong-soo also saw this girl crying miserably. Hee-soon begged and promised to do everything Jin Seop asked, but he still coldly killed the girl he had just hugged last night. When Hee-soon's phone stopped ringing, Jin Seop's eyes stopped hurting, so he guessed that this song was the reason why his eyes were hurting. Iran also seemed to not understand what was going on with Dong-soo. Dong-soo looked up the floor number of the company where the murderer worked and broke into the building while the building was in chaos. Hee-soon's co-workers ran to the top floor and were horrified when they saw Hee-soon's body. Jin Seop sneaked down the stairs. Dong-soo went up to the company and saw a man walking with a jacket that looked very similar to the murderer's, so he followed this guy into the bathroom. Dong-soo mistook the man for the murderer and asked him about the jacket he used to commit the crime. But the employee was angry and went outside. Dong-soo proceeded to knock on the door of the only closed room. When Dong-soo climbed up and saw Jin-sop, he stabbed Dong-soo's hand with a sharp object. Now the building's security guard also rushed in and used a zip tie to handcuff Dong-soo. Dong-soo saw a pair of black shoes in the bathroom that looked exactly like the murderer's and immediately took them. Jin-sop also witnessed Dong-soo's self-healing ability. Then Dong-soo was also dragged out. When Ji-jong saw Dong-soo, she immediately grabbed him and confirmed that he had attacked Hee-soon. Everyone was scared when they saw Dong-soo's remaining eye. Jin-sop also easily left. Then, the security guard put a blindfold on Dong-soo and prepared to hand him over to the police. But suddenly, a female employee used a stun gun to shock the security guard, causing they to faint. The girl then threw the stun device back to Dong-soo so he could handle the rest. Then Dong-soo and I-rang escaped. The two policemen started reviewing the camera footage of Dong-soo's break-in. But the time didn't match the time when Hee-soon and Myung-hoon died, because when Dong-soo broke in, Myung-hoon had already fallen to the ground. Then they continued to watch the process of the strange girl breaking in. A few minutes later, she used force to take the ID card of an employee in the building. A while later, two policemen also came to see Jin-seop to investigate. They asked Jin-seop if he wore a coat to work this morning. It seemed that the blindfolded man said he was looking for a coat. At this time, Ji-song appeared and asked the police to focus on catching the culprit and not investigating innocent people. But Jin didn't seem very satisfied with her defense. Inspector Choi came out and told Policeman Park that Jin-seop was narcissistic. He gritted his teeth when he saw the employee, even though she was helping him, but he was agitated when he saw the employee's unique shoe. Dong-soo took I-rang to where he was staying and asked about her true identity. I-rang introduced herself as a novelist and wanted to write about the legendary Connet species. When she was young, when she was about to be hit by a truck on the road, a child was injured instead of her. That child was a Connet. His body healed in an instant, like his now. But the child disappeared before she had a chance to say thank you. One day, she heard a legend about an immortal body, so she went to investigate. The organ traffickers posted an article asking about the legend of the Connect species. She left a comment and went to see them. She had installed a listening device in their office, so she knew about his existence. It seemed that those thugs were related to the Jongdo Pharmaceutical Company. She asked if he wanted to investigate with her. Dong-soo said that his priority now was to catch the serial killer. Dong-soo also told her about how he was kidnapped by thugs and lost one eye. Now the murderer who committed these crimes had taken his eye. I-rang took off Dong-soo's eye patch and put on a pair of sunglasses to avoid being wanted by the police. The two went to the convenience store and saw Dong-soo's wanted poster. Dong-soo hurriedly went out when his right eye started to hurt again. At this time, Jin-seop was also playing a song to check if his suspicions were correct. Could this guitarist be the one who lost an eye? When Jin-seop paused the song, his eye stopped hurting. Dong-soo also knew that his eye was reacting to his song. I-rang also told Jin-seop that he might reveal the secret about his body to ruin his life in society. Let's leave the investigation to her for now. Dong-soo was helping the old man who owned the junkyard when he heard the radio playing a newly released song by artist Z, who introduced it as a cover of a song by an artist nicknamed Lonely Guitar Man. Dong-soo was very happy to see that artist Z had mentioned his name clearly. This guy's so professional, artist. Jin-seop immediately went to see artist Z to buy this song for his company's upcoming advertisement. Jin-seop also asked about the composer of this song, but artist Z said he had never met this person before. The police began questioning the arrested gangster as he chased after the suspect who had one eye covered, but he said he was just jogging to lose belly fat. The police later released him because his detention period had expired and there was no evidence. The long-haired guy calls a junior named Woo-jin. He asks his junior to keep a close watch on the office worker who has had eyes implanted. I-rang overhears him discussing a plan to get back the magical eye they implanted for the office worker. He thinks that the office worker is about to die anyway. The long-haired guy finds out that his hamster is missing, so he searches every corner and finds a listening device. He smashes it and realizes that the novelist girl did it. She said that her computer ran out of battery and wanted to plug it in. The thug thinks that she probably knows more about Connect species than they do. Now I-rang also steps outside and doesn't need her glasses to pretend to be an intellectual anymore. She follows Woo-jin, who was on the phone with the long-haired guy. He is also standing in front of the building where Jin-seop is. Jin-seop is now also suppressing his pain to study the target he plans to attack next. Then he collapsed because of the pain. I-rang also told Dong-soo that the culprit seemed to have some kind of illness and wouldn't live much much longer. At this time, Dong-Su's right eye started to hurt again. Jin-Sup showed Dong-Su the drawing he had drawn of Dong-Su with the message, "I'll come find you this time, so wait for me." He also introduced the work he would do next at an elementary school and signed his name on it. Dong-Su was walking down the street when he met the street singer from before. This guy asked Dong-Su to enjoy the new guitar song he made based on the cover of Congressman Z. Then, while Dong-Su was listening to the music, his eyes started to hurt again. It turned out that Jin-Sup was sitting in a car nearby. Dong-Su ran after the culprit but was stopped by the police. Dong-Su was then arrested by the police. Inspector Choi came out and invited Dong-Su to the police station. It was a trap that Jin-Sup had set up to get Dong-Su arrested by the police. Jin-Sup went to find the doctor and hit him, demanding that he explain about the eye that had been transplanted into Jin-Sup. Jin-Sup asked the doctor, "Where you got the eye that had been transplanted into me?" But the doctor said that he only performed the surgery and didn't know anything. When the gang leader brought his men here, Jin-Sup was controlling the doctor in the warehouse. Jin-Sup took the doctor back to his base and asked if you had sent someone to follow me after the surgery, right? What was so special about this eye that made you and the others do that? The doctor said it might be a connection. 2 months ago, a young man came with an injured body and asked the doctor to save him because he didn't want the hospital to ask too many questions. Because Jin-Sup promised to pay the doctor a lot of money, he agreed. But the young man warned the doctor that you not to take anything from my body after the anesthesia because there were cancer cells everywhere on my body. The doctor said that the guy ran away that day and left an eye behind. All of his surgical wounds healed in a flash. That's why the doctor took that eye and implanted it into Jin-Sup to test if it had anything special. In the year 2000, Jongdo Pharmaceutical Company discovered something amazing related to a biografted plant and called it Connect. Some people even said that this invention was related to immortality. Isn't this good news for terminal cancer patients? After listening to the doctor, Jin-Sup also coldly finished off the doctor and laughed smugly. The police used force to interrogate and confirmed that Dong-Su was the murderer because Dong-Su always appeared at the scene of the murder. But Dong-Su said he had the ability to see two things at once, but he could only see them when Dong-Su's eyes hurt. Seeing that the colleague was too aggressive, Inspector Choi signaled him to go outside and interrogated Dong-Su in a gentler manner. Inspector Choi told Dong-Su that I believed what you said. Then Inspector Choi asked Dong-Su to tell about the special images he saw when his right eye hurt. Dong-Su told him about the next case, which was about elementary school girls. Dong-Su had seen the sketch. Dong-Su had also seen the symbol of Pluto in one corner of the picture. Inspector Choi also said that he did not believe Dong-Su was the culprit. Inspector Choi asked Dong-Su to tell why he could see those images. Dong-Su hesitated because there were many people outside. So Inspector Choi decided to take Dong-Su to the rooftop so they could talk freely. Dong-Su also used all his strength to get his arm out of the handcuffs and showed the inspector his ability to heal himself. Dong-Su said that he had only recently learned that people called his body Connect. Now whatever the criminal saw, Dong-Su saw too. At this time, Inspector Choi received a call from a colleague informing him that Dong-Su had not even registered his fingerprints. So Dong-Su was not legally recognized in this world. Dong-Su realized that Inspector Choi had lied to him and did not believe that Dong-Su could see the murderer and what the murderer was about to do. So Dong-Su continued to escape from the remaining handcuffs. Dong-Su felt regretful for believing in Inspector. The police immediately fired warning shots into the air to suppress the situation, but Dong-Su confidently jumped down. Dong-Su's self-healing ability also started working. Dong-Su then escaped from the police station. Inspector Choi was unable to catch up with Dong-Su. At this time, Irang also tried to call Dong-Su but could not reach him. Then she accidentally cut her hand and bled. But when Irang left, the blood started to flow. Kim ordered all his men to find out who had dragged the doctor away. Then he received a call from Woojin informing him that Jin-Sup had not returned home since yesterday. So the boss immediately ordered him to break into Jin-Sup's house to search. While Irang was following Woojin, she received a call from Dong-Su. She continued to follow him, but he had disappeared. Suddenly, he grabbed a knife and attacked Irang from behind. She also resisted and knocked him down. Dong-Su throws a petrol bomb into the elementary school and calls the police to say that he will burn down all the elementary schools in the city. If any child goes outside, they will never come back. Then the news about a terrorist threatening to attack elementary schools is also reported on the news. Jin-Sup watches the news and learns that Guitar Man is playing a trick to stop his plan. Now Dong-Su finds out that artist Z is leaving a comment praising the song he composed. When Dong-Su says artist Z is the best, he expresses his desire to perform the song with Dong-Su. While Dong-Su is still happy, one of his eyes suddenly hurts. Jin-Sup writes so Dong-Su can read it and leaves the phone number for Dong-soo to call him back. Jin-sep immediately receives a call from Dong-soo. He immediately said that you are too late to stop me. Since things have moved to a new stage, find out for yourself. The next morning, Ujin's body is also found by a villager under a dam. Dong-soo returns home and informs Irang that they know I'm a connect, so she'll be in danger too. She then leads Dong-soo into an abandoned theater to hide from the girls and the police. She now decides to reveal her truth to Dong-soo. Irang asks Dong-soo to cut her with a knife, and her wound begins to heal quickly. Irang is also a connect like Dong-soo. Irang says she'll tell Dong-soo everything about her after he gets his other eye back. When Dong-soo asks Irang not to use the bandage anymore, she says that this is to prevent people from knowing she's a connect. It's like her talisman, but maybe she doesn't need it anymore. Dong-soo is also happy that he has found someone like him. Irang uses a knife to cut a line on her hand and Dong-soo's hand too. Then they let their hands intertwine and intertwine. Then they give each other a kiss. Artist Zed is now having fun at a nightclub. Then when he is walking down to the parking lot with a girl, he is beaten by Jin-seo and falls unconscious. Jin-sep continues to beat the woman who is with Artist Z. Jin-sep wears an eye patch and claims that the motive for this is because Artist Z stole his song. Then Jin-sep drags Artist Z away. Dong-soo, while sleeping with Irang, suddenly has a sharp pain in his eye. Then Dong-soo sees the culprit tearing up the sketch of the work he was planning to do, and in front of is Artist Z tied up in a wheelchair. Jin-sep also forced Artist Z to whisper the lyrics of the song that Dong-soo composed. Jin-sep wrote it down on the phone and asked Dong-soo to come here alone if Dong-soo didn't want this man to become my next creation. Then, Jin-sep also took action against Artist Z. The two thugs who had cut off a bit of Dong-soo's flesh led the two gang leaders of the organ trafficking gang to the junkyard. Then the two of them started using force on the junkyard owner. At this time, when Dong-soo and Irang were in the abandoned theater, they saw the gangsters appearing there through the camera. Soon after, Dong-soo received a video showing the old man at the junkyard being tied up by the gangster. They asked Dong-soo to come in 15 minutes. Irang then showed Dong-soo the way out so he could go out. Irang said she would take care of things here. When Dong-soo left, the thugs also entered. Irang also confidently appeared in front of them with a small electric shock device in her hand. She knocked down one of them and ran away, but she was stopped by the leader. Dong-soo ran back to the junkyard and saw her boss being held captive on the ground. The two thugs started attacking and also knocked Dong-soo down. They used chains to hang Dong-soo. The tall guy immediately ordered his juniors to deal with the old man immediately. Dong-soo tried to attack the tall and strong guy. After a while of fighting, Dong-soo also defeated the junior. Dong-soo opened the door and used it to forcefully cut the chain that was hanging him. Dong-soo's hand wound also healed quickly. Dong-soo used a wrench to knock down the tall and strong guy. But Dong-soo was called a monster by the junkyard boss. Dong-soo's old pain comes back. So Dong-soo was ambushed from behind by the big guy, but he was beaten down by Dong-soo's anger again. In the end, Dong-soo decided not to finish him off. The thugs now knew that Irang was monitoring all their activities. When Irang announced that their junior Ujin was dead, the thug gave the girl a hammer, but Irang said that Ujin was killed by Jin-seo. At this time, the wound on Irang's face began to heal. The long-haired guy was very happy to have found another connect. Irang attacked and fought with the remaining thugs. Then she escaped. The long-haired guy didn't let his juniors chase after her because they had to use that girl as bait to catch all the other connects. Dong-soo untied the junkyard owner and apologized for causing all this trouble. Dong-soo also wanted to drive the truck to take him to the hospital, but he asked Dong-soo to go ahead. He would clean up the place himself. He also told Dong-soo not to get hurt or arrested. Dong-soo nodded and thanked the old man, just like the way Dong-soo had come here and was asked by the old man to bring him when he was little. When Dong-soo went out, Irang was already there. Dong-soo blamed himself for causing the old man at the junkyard to be affected. Artist Zed was also implicated, but Irang praised Dong-soo for being willing to become a terrorist to save the children. The one who did the wrong things was not him but the one who took his eye. People might be afraid and call them monsters, even try to take their bodies. Dong-soo might be miserable because of his ability and live a reclusive life, but she was different. After learning that she was a connect race, Irang began to learn more and more about how extraordinary her body was. If this world did not accept them, they would have to conquer and dominate it because they were a superior race. When Dong-soo said that there was nothing they could do with just the two of them, Irang said that he would meet the others soon. Suddenly, Dong-soo's right eye hurt again. At this time, Jin-seo was coughing up blood due to the cancer cells that had broken out. He wrote on his glasses asking Dong-soo to come see him at 11 o'clock tonight. So Dong-soo also announced that he would go save Artist Z and get his right eye back, but Irang said that she had other things to do so she could not go with him. And the night before, this Irang fought and was the one who eliminated the gang's underling Woojin. The The police began to investigate the scene at the dam where Woojin's body was found and found a camera under a stream of water. The police began to recover the data in this camera and discovered that Woojin had been following the head of the department, Jin So, in every move. Policeman Park Bak also reported that there had just been an anonymous call saying that artist Z had been kidnapped. This person said that before he could see the perpetrator's face, he had been knocked unconscious by him, but he said that he did this because his song was stolen. The police began to look at the security cameras at the nightclub. Policeman Park confirmed that the perpetrator was Ha Dong-soo because he was wearing a blindfold, but Inspector Choi confirmed that Woojin had disguised himself to put all the blame on Dong-soo. Dong-soo went to the meeting place to meet Jin-sep when a car drove up and played the music that Dong-soo had composed. Jin-sep got out of the car and put on a gas mask very carefully. He began pressing the button to release toxic smoke from many previously hidden locations. Dong-soo ran to attack but could not resist the thick toxic smoke. Dong-soo then fainted. Irang went to an abandoned park. When she looked at the GPS, she saw Dong-soo moving at a very fast speed. Now Dong-soo was also captured by Jin Seo and tied up in a car to be taken somewhere. Big brother Kim called his junior to ask about Irang's whereabouts. The junior also followed Irang into the amusement park, but she handled him neatly. She even smashed the phone. Big brother Kim informed his trusted long-haired junior that Irang and Dong-soo had separated. "We will keep this a secret and not inform our superiors." Irang went inside and woke up a man named Ji Jun. This man had a tall body and a strange face. Irang calls this guy to leave this stinking cave to a better place and go eliminate all those who dare to take advantage of their power. Dong-soo wakes up to see that the person who took his eye is preparing to become Jin-sep's next creation. Dong-soo asks Jin-sep not to harm artist Z and other innocent people anymore. But Jin-sep says that in the eyes of the world, you and I are both monsters. We are two opposite poles, like light and darkness, men and women. But if we unite, we will become something very perfect. Jin-sep asks Dong-soo if he wants to unite with me by putting my brain into your body and we will become one. Jin-sep then starts pushing artist Z to conduct experiments. Dong-soo also apologizes for making artist Z like this. Dong-soo says that he is the lonely guitar man. Jin-sep then proceeded to exchange pinkies between the two. Dong-soo's little finger can indeed be connected to artist Z's hand. Dong-soo's special body can also be linked to artist Z's finger. Jin-sep says he will release artist Z if Dong-soo agrees to link with him to become an individual. Otherwise, artist Z will become Jin-sep's next creation. Dong-soo asks Jin-sep to release artist Z immediately, so Jin-sep also knocks Dong-soo unconscious to carry out plan. Now Irang also confidently goes to the base of the organ trafficking gang, but she brings her strange friend with her. One of the guys calls this person a monster, which makes him extremely angry. He starts using his extraordinary strength to deal with each of the gangsters. Irang also helps to speed up the process. When Inspector Choi is about to go on a mission, he gets a nosebleed due to a relapse. Policeman Park also received a call that they had found the address of the building where the 28 photo was taken from the camera at the dam. Dong-soo woke up and found himself in a cold room. Artist Z was also in front of Dong-soo with his body frozen. Artist Jack also apologized for using Dong-soo's song without permission and getting in the way of Dong-soo catching the culprit. He then passed away peacefully. Dong-soo cried and said that his remix was really great. Dong-soo really wanted to thank him. The resentment made Dong-soo's body stronger. Dong-soo separated his arms to escape the handcuffs that were holding him. Dong-soo then used his healing ability to regain his body's integrity, but the room was now locked tightly. Irang led her friend to this place, but she asked him to rest a bit because he had used too much energy, so he also sat down on the ground to sleep. Then Dong-soo also heard Irang calling outside, but Irang was attacked by Jin Seo. He also knew that she was a connect, so he asked about her genetic ability to the next generation. Irang then asked, "Do you want to take over Dong-soo's body and have children with me, or do you want to take over my body and have children with Dong-soo? But I'm afraid you have to die here right now." The two started to fight fiercely and were evenly matched. Jin-sep threw Irang down below. Then he also went down here. At this time, the two police cars also arrived, so Jin-sep went upstairs to check on the situation. Then Irang also unlocked the door for Dong-soo. Irang asked Dong-soo to go deal with Jin-sep. Things weren't over yet, but the future must be changed. Inspector Choi enters the building and sees a very strange man trying to attack him, so Inspector Choi shoots this guy and he falls backwards. Police Park runs to save his friend, but is coldly shot down by Jin-sep. Jin-sep also picks up Police Park's gun. The strange man's wounds begin to heal, and he attacks Inspector Choi. Barang appears and said with Inspector Choi that I will eliminate you because you knows too much. Inspector Choi also realizes that this girl broke into Jin-sep's company to rescue Dong-soo. It seems that she is also a connect. Inspector Choi says, "I thought I had seen the worst things in the world, but it seems that there are people who have suffered worse worse things. I can't imagine how difficult her and Dongsu's lives must have been. Dongsu goes to find Jinseop and says, "I will absolutely not give my body to you." Jinseop begins to hum the lyrics of the song that Dongsu composed, allowing him to see two images at the same time with two eyes facing each other. Dongsu runs over and is shot repeatedly by Jinseop, but he quickly recovers. Then he is shot in the other eye. When the gun runs out of bullets, Dongsu grabs Jinseop and begins to heal his damaged eye. Dongsu then begins the process of reclaiming his stolen eye. Dongsu is about to attack the murderer when Inspector Choi runs over and stops him. Inspector Choi tells Dongsu that if you kill him, I will have to prosecute you. You will become a murderer like him. Now let me handle this. Leave here now. Someone is waiting for you. The task force will be here soon. I can't protect you anymore. Suddenly, Rang announced that they were coming. Then she pulled Dongsu and ran outside. Now Jin Seop's lost eyes were reacting again. Artist Jack's fingers were also moving. Rang led Dongsu to the rooftop of the house and saw many helicopters coming. Maybe these were people from Rang's cornet race, or maybe people from the Zhongdo pharmaceutical company trying to get back products of the research achievements they had created. A new exciting story promises to continue. The movie has ended here. Goodbye and see you in the next videos.